Paul. How's it going?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Good, good. So now where are you at? Are you in Canada or still in the States?
No, I'm still in the States. I'm currently in Houston. I'm leaving to Chicago today.
Yeah, what do you love about Montreal?
Everything. I love the bilingual culture of it. I lived there for a year, and I was working at Apple at the time, and I don't know, it's just like one of the best years of my life. So I have a lot of good memories going there. The fact that there's actually different seasons as well, like the fact that it's really cold, so then you get like you look forward to it getting to spring and then summer and then.
I also, you were
Mhm.
a year in Montreal. What were your top spots? So this is cool. I want to know.
Oh my God, the top spots. I don't know. I can't even remember.
Did you
The
drink that much
oh,
beer when you were in Montreal? I can't.
yeah, to be fair, and also it's like it was 15 years ago, so none of the places probably still exist. It was there was a bit. Oh, I can't remember. There was
Your top
a pub.
streets?
Well, I yeah, Saint Denis, obviously. Um,
Saint-Denis, c'est bon.
yeah, that's where there was a couple of bars that I would go to.
I like that.
Um, I used to live near Parc Laurier, so I think it's
So
called Parc
cool.
Laurier or Square Laurier. I don't know. It
Ouais,
was near
Parc
Métro
Laurier.
Laurier, right? So that was
Hey,
cool. Uh,
so fun.
to be honest, like what I really enjoyed on my days off was like leaving and going up the mountains to like snowboard for the afternoon.
I get
That was
that.
so much fun.
Oh, I know. The Laurentians, the Eastern Townships, we've got some options at least.
Yeah, it was
You
good.
know?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Okay. So, Paul, I want to know when did you realize your bilingual comedy would be your superpower?
Um, well, I didn't really realize it. I didn't know what to do when I started doing comedy and I was building up to like an hour show because in France you can't. There's no real at the time. There weren't any comedy clubs
Yeah.
in Paris even. So what you had to do is you had to like write an hour show and then do that and tour the country with it. You couldn't. There wasn't an what do you call it an infrastructure like a network of comedy clubs like there are in Canada. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously more in English speaking Canada than in Quebec.
But now in
But
Quebec, there's a good one. Les humoristes
yeah,
sont big maintenant. If I say it in
yeah.
French, yeah.
Well, right. And the thing is like in France. So I had to do an hour, and I didn't know whether to do like an hour in English and then do a separate one in French. Which a friend of mine in Paris was already doing that. He's an American comedian, and he was already doing that. So I was like, oh, I could follow the sort of the path that he has built for
Yeah.
English speaking comedy. Um, but then I had in the back of my mind of like, oh, maybe I do a show that's bilingual because some of the jokes that I had at the time, they only worked if you spoke both languages. Like there was a play on words, there was a couple of things that you needed to understand both languages to do. And also, ultimately, I didn't really have a full hour in English or a full hour in French. Some of the stuff I had only was in French and but so it was out of necessity almost.
Yeah.
But then a friend of mine who's a comedian in Montreal, who's like my best friend, he's been there. We met at Apple 15 years ago. He
What's his
also
name?
his name is Rolly Assal.
Okay.
Rolly Assal. He's going to be doing my opening act in Montreal. He always that like every time I go there or he comes to Paris, he opens for me, whether it's in French or in English. And so, but when I was debating this in my head, he's like, "Oh, have you heard of a guy called Sugar Sammy?" I'm like, "No idea who he is." He's like, "Oh,
I was gonna talk about it. Perfect.
yeah." So he's like, and weirdly, the way the timing worked out was that I was like, "No, I don't know who he is." So I looked him up a bit, but none of his stuff was available um, in France. He had his shows filmed like for iTunes or whatever, but they
Yeah.
weren't available in France. So I was like, "Oh, okay, that's an interesting concept." Everyone in France though was like, "It's never going to work. It's a bilingual. Like if you're doing a half English show, no one in France speaks English. So
They're not
this
gonna
is
get it.
yeah, it's a stupid idea." So I was like debating it, trying to figure out what to do. And I was like, fuck it. The only way that I can test it is to do it. Like the only way I can see if it's going to work is to
Yeah.
actually do it and see if people come to the show. Um, and so I did that, and I like within a couple of months,
So Sugar Sammy came to
um,
see you in Paris? Or
he
no, he
came
was
to
giving
see, he,
shows
ca-
in Paris.
he came to do shows in Paris. So
Okay.
we met on like I can't I think it was an English speaking show that we met. I can't remember in which show it was that we met. But anyway, we were talking for a bit, and while he was still in Paris, we connected a couple of times. So I just did the bilingual thing just to see what would happen. And I mean, part of the reason that it worked was at the same time, by accident, I had a video that kind of went viral on YouTube, which was kind of like the beginning of my entire career in France. It was me complaining about la bise when French people
La
kiss each other
fameuse
on the
bise.
face.
Yeah.
Right. So I did a whole video about that, and that kind of blew up. And I got involved in a TV show, writing and creating like my own sort of like mini sketch show that was called "What the Fuck France," and that was at the same time as my bilingual show. So that's how it evolved. And then I did a second one, and I did a third bilingual show,
And then it
and
was just
then
sold out.
yeah, and then after the third one, I was like, cool. I think I've reached the limit of what I can do with the bilingual stuff because the like I finished the show in Paris at the
Yeah.
arena in Paris. There's
Yeah.
like 5,000 people at the show. I'm like, all right, there's nothing else. There's nothing more to do with a bilingual show for now. In any case, so I was like, all right, let me now split up the languages and do a show only in English to start with because that's my native language.
Yeah.
Puis après, je ferai un show entièrement en français for the French-speaking market, and because this English show I'm touring again like across the world. And I was doing Canada. It was like if
Crazy.
I knew if I didn't do Montreal, I would get shit for it on
Oh, for
social media, being
sure.
like, "Why are you not coming?"
We
But
would be
even
very mad.
I know, but people are mad that I'm coming with an English only show. So
Oh,
it was
pourquoi
never
tu
going to
parles pas
be.
France? Tell me, what do you think of the Montreal crowd? Now, you know Montreal, you've lived there. How would
Yeah.
you describe the crowd compared to the other cities that you're touring in?
It's difficult to say really because I think it depends not only on the place, but it depends on the venue as well, like where you're performing. I think one of my best shows, like top three of my previous tour, the bilingual one, was at l'Olympia when I did l'Olympia. Uh,
2023.
yeah, in November, I think it was. It
Yeah.
was it was easily. I think it was either top two or three.
Really? Why?
It was. I don't know. It just the audience were amazing. They're really energetic. They get what stand-up comedy is. Like they know what they're coming to watch. Sometimes in France, they think they're coming to watch like theater or um,
Une pièce de théâtre.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, where they sit and they don't, they're not as rowdy. They, you can't drink during the shows in France. They don't really have bars in the theaters there. So I think that helped. And I think just the way that l'Olympia, the venue, the sound and everything, it just like that you get hit by a wave of it on stage.
Paul Taylor, thank you so much. Have an amazing show on Wednesday. And don't be shy. Roast the Québécois too. They'll love it.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.